Okay, welcome everybody. This is our second video on a performance coach's reflection of the lockdown and COVID-19. I'd just like to introduce you to Matt Rose, the head coach of Manchester City Aquatics. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
Mark, if I can, I just want to read through some of the reflections. You were honest and kind enough to send some of your reflections on how you were feeling and your thoughts around the lockdown. And then, if you wouldn't mind just expanding on them. I mean, it was a great document, and it went round a lot of the swimming community. But I just wanted to open it up to the wider community. So there was a variety of different things in there. But just reading some of it, it says here, crucially, what about the people who love and care for you? What about those that you love and care for? Have you really thought through what you are going through, their fears? Odds are that they will support you no matter what and hide their fears somewhat, all to support you and your coaching dream. Take a breath, colleagues, and make sure you look after yourselves as well as your team. Push too hard at the wrong time and we all may burn out. Mark, it was a great document, great reflection. Would you mind just elaborating on some of those thoughts, please?
Yeah, so at the time when I wrote that, it was fresh into we were just starting the lockdown, and we were doing the bit that everybody tried to do, which is stay in the water, stay in shape, and we were trying to get around the closures. And it just as I drew breath one day, and I realised actually that the reason for this lockdown was to help people. We didn't want people to die. So if we were going to go and get around the lockdown and get into a closed leisure centre with a handful of swimmers and keep training, then the reality is we were going to be putting our families at risk. The social distancing measures are in place for a reason, and there are people far more informed than we are that are making those decisions. And if it was a sports scientist in our daily role who got some interesting knowledge that we had no idea of, we'd certainly listen and take it on board. So why would we then be trying to get around this? And, the conversations away from swimming were more around the fear that the general populace had. I live in a nice little place. There's a lot of retired people on my street, and talking to my neighbours and friends at that time, they were talking about how they had the fear and they were going to basically lock their front gate, and that was it for a few weeks. They didn't want to have any contact with anybody. So it was around the point, well, actually, do we need to observe this distancing and this lockdown as intended by the government? Well, probably yes. It's easy to say that in hindsight, but we have the tunnel vision. We need to stay in shape. We need to get ready for meets. We need to swim fast. And then it was a case of, the reality is how many of us had actually gone home and said to our partners and kids, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to lock down as everybody else does? Should we do that as a family? The challenges that we see now from people that are working in the NHS that are having to live in Premier Inn rooms and live away from their family while they conduct their day-to-day work. That could have been swimming coaches if we'd been daft enough to stay in those centres, exposing ourselves to groups of athletes, insisting then that operators' staff are coming in and opening buildings just because we happen to have a centre tag on our badge, So it was, that opinion was formed around, actually, we get a lot of support as coaches from the people around us. And that opinion was formed as a bit of a wake-up call as regards to, actually, this is a time that they need our support as well. So that's where it came from. And also, it was a bit of a place of mental fatigue then as well. I don't know how everybody else felt, but as well as the normal 30 hours on deck and in the gym and on the normal meetings and everything else, I'd been for 2 weeks in endless meetings, on endless conference calls, trying to retain access to a pool. And there's a point where you go, actually, it's not really worth it, especially when there's going to be no meets for some time.
Yeah, and then a question around what are you doing? You talked about extra time, being at home now, making that decision with family. I can kind of empathise with the coaching career. A lot of people probably talked about my wife as being a coaching widow. With the amount of
We've all got them at home.
Yeah, with the amount of work away, and they sacrifice so much for us as well. What are you using this time for now in terms of family time? And do you feel that you're now more refreshed with regards to that and your family? It's the right decision?
It was absolutely the right decision. And I mean, the decision ultimately was taken away from us by the Prime Minister. So, you know, it's regardless. But if we'd have had that option, I think this is the right decision. As regards to time management, I've not been great for the first few weeks because I've just been, as I would be in coaching, contactable all the time, working late, evening meetings as well as daytime meetings. I have tried to set a bit of time around each day to make sure that I spend some time with the kids. And literally, today it's on my list of jobs to do, to try and look at my work calendar and plan it a little bit better from Monday onwards. What I have done is, after Saturday morning training that we've done as a squad online, a LAN session and all checked in on Zoom, I've basically not done any work Saturday and Sunday. And to get 4 weekends in a row without any work, Richard, that's a novelty in itself.
Yeah.
So, the plan is that the 3 hours a day that I'm normally in the car or traveling or whatever else, I'm going to do some refurb work on my house and try and save some money. And then I'm going to try and stick to doing around 40 hours a week and see if I can do that for a couple of weeks and see how that works from Monday. So now things have started to settle. It's not easier. It's just settled. There's some routines that's got in place. There's some stuff that we've tried working with the city and working with the athletes that as we've had to try 2 or 3 different ways to get it right. And now we believe we've got some efficiencies there in working. But yeah, it's just because we decided to do something at the start of this lockdown doesn't mean as coaches we shouldn't learn as we go on how we can make a better use of the time during the lockdown. And that's been something I've learned in this first 4 weeks or so.
Definitely, it's a really good point. That brings me to my next question in terms of, we're all learning a variety of different new skills. We're all learning how to Zoom, how to get around this. What are you going to take from this period? And when we go back into coaching, continue to learn in terms of being more time efficient?
We've already talked amongst the group of us about having more regular, we tried to timetable more regular contact with the coaching team and the committee group at Manchester. And it's difficult to get people in the right place at the right time. So we've talked about, well, we'll have, more meetings like this. We can do that. You can do it on a mobile phone. You can check in on Zoom and have, even if it's just a 15-20 minutes catch up, to make sure that we've got the essence right, because we all know how emails can be taken out of context, and you can end up spending a lifetime replying to a chain of emails that actually you could have spent 5 minutes talking about. So we're going to try and find efficiencies that way. One of the big lessons I'm going to learn physiologically is making sure that we get some observations on what's happened to the athletes as we've done what we've tried to put in place, and see whether that's had a positive, negative, or not much of an impact. Either way, we just got to see how that works. And it might be for some it's different, and some others it has no impact. Who knows? But for us as coaches, and me personally, I'm going to just try and find a little bit more time as regards to making sure that we get the contact with the people that matter, and make sure that that's productive. There's been a lot of Zoom meetings I've been on in the last month that I've walked away from and thought, really, we could have done that in 10 minutes, and it's took an hour and a half, 2 hours, one of them. And one of the things I'm going to do is put my hand up in those meetings and say, what are we here to achieve? And I'm going to ask the coaching team to do that as well. Are we wasting time?
Yeah.
Could we be at home now with families instead of at 8 o'clock at night sat in a coaches meeting or a committee meeting? What do we need to get done and decide on? So efficiencies, yes. The other thing as well is to learn is actually, it's very easy to fall out of your routine, because as coaches, we take 2 weeks off in the summer and we go abroad and get some sunshine and sleep in a little bit. But, you know, I don't know about the rest of the coaching world, but my routine's to cock, my sleep pattern's a mess. I'm trying to go to bed at exactly the same time every night as I would be when I was coaching. But I'm just not as tired because I haven't had to drive an hour there, an hour back, and I haven't had to, walk up and down a pool side. I don't know if anybody's tried this, but the pedometer I wore on the pool side for a couple of weeks showed that I was doing about, I think it was 14 kilometers a day average walking around. I'm not doing that because we can't do that. So the routines fall apart easily, and we are creatures of routine. We are, whether we like it or not, we're part of the performance sport environment, the athletes and the coaches.
That's great, Mark. Thank you so much for being honest and open. I'm sure people and the coaching community will massively appreciate that. So thank you.